he died and then reincarnated in another world as... No, this cat girl isn't our hero. He's behind her back. Yes, he reincarnated as a magic sword. And somehow this girl is his owner. Well, okay, let's take a look back to the past. First time he was surprised by what was going on. Another world? That's crazy. But the most incredible thing was that he couldn't do a single move. Of course, he was reborn as a sword. Suddenly, the voice from nowhere wished him good luck and left him alone. The sky was especially beautiful tonight. I would say a few words about Fran's parents. One day they decided to become stronger and evolve as others. However, it's really hard to do, almost impossible to do if you're a black cat. It ended really badly for them. The adventure was dangerous and Fran lost her parents. They weren't able to reach the stars. That's why Fran wants to continue the way of her parents so badly, but she wasn't alone. On her way, she met a cool guy. Well, better to say a cool sword. Fran and Master fit each other perfectly. Meanwhile, a merchant's carriage was attacked by goblins all of a sudden. That was bad, he had only one guard here. Thankfully, Fran was nearby and came to their voices. All the goblins were eliminated in a few seconds, but one of them was able to escape. Never mind, they were safe. The guard named Randall offered Fran to give her a lift to the city, and for some reason the merchant didn't like her company. Randall told Fran about the monster's activity, which was pretty high nowadays. Well, it seemed that Master was the reason for this little chaos. There also was the Grand S rank monster Fenrir, and this information sounded pretty interesting for Master. Fran asked Randall about the magic sword from these lands, however Randall said he never heard of it. When the guard figured out Fran didn't know anything, he told her about adventurers and their ranks. Her eyes immediately lit up with fire. However, some bad news, black cats seemed to be outcasters, and Master figured it out quickly by the merchant's words. Master hoped people would accept her in the guild. Meanwhile, something was happening in the goblin's lair, and later it might turn into a real disaster for people. When Fran entered the city, she was amazed by its views. Master was amazed too. Well, not by the views, but by the people's weapon stats. Literally, everyone was better than him. Fran didn't want his self-esteem to be destroyed, so she gave him some pats. Thankfully, it worked. The Adventurers Guild was looking pretty similar to every guild else, but the difference was in its contingent. The administrator, whose name is Nell, wished them all to just die. Despite her beautiful smile, she wasn't that kind person, at least to these bastards, and when Fran entered the guild and addressed her, she was really surprised. Just a kid. That was her first thought. Anyway, she had to pass the sparring against the instructor. The instructor was already waiting for them. He is Oni, and his name is Donadron. He's a very dangerous man. When Fran saw him, she immediately realized it's not gonna be easy. The master understood it especially well after looking at his stats. Donadron said he never holds back no matter who his opponent is. Master warned her they must do their best if they wanted to leave this place with their own feet. Donadron attacked immediately. Powerful strike blew the ground, but Fran managed to dodge it. Another attack, she dodged it well again. This Oni was a really crazy guy. The house just blew up from his axe strike. The next attack Fran decided to block, but the hit threw her far away. Thankfully, Master helped her to prevent the falling. She realized she needed to attack. She cannot block all the time. A few quick moves and there's first blood, but it wasn't enough. This Oni had really strong regeneration. Another attack, but this time Fran rushed towards the enemy. Donadron blocked the attack. However, he couldn't expect she was able to use earth magic, and not only earth but also fire. And then it was time to end the fight. Telekinesis and wind magic combination raised her speed to supersonic numbers. The poor administrator almost died while watching them. They both were a real disaster. When the fight ended, Nell told her she was absolutely shocked by her skills. She had never seen anyone being that strong. Well, it seems that she passed the test. Later, they came to the director's cabinet. He asked her who taught her to such a high level. Fran decided to keep that a secret. But the director really wanted to know it and tried to use appraisal skill. However, Master blocked it, so he was unable to see the truth. But the director wasn't angry or annoyed. On the contrary, his spirits told him she's a very kind girl, so there won't be any problem. Then Nell opened the door, and it meant it was time to get Fran's guild card. First, she needed to put her hand on this crystal to appraise her mana level. After this, she could choose her class. There are usually only a few classes an adventurer can select, but Fran had a ton of skills and abilities, so she could choose anything she liked. The administrator had never seen anything like that before. Anyway, Fran already knew what she needed to choose. Warlock, Warrior, Mage. Registration was successfully done. It meant that now she could sell all the materials she had got from killing monsters. Well, there's too much. She got her summary. There was a lot. 195,000 gold. It's like 2 million yen, or $14,000. Fran was about to continue her way. However, some people didn't want to let her go. Master told Fran to be calm, and she didn't mind if this mess would end quickly. These bastards were sure she had stolen all this stuff, and so, in that case, they tried to force her to give them all of her money. These words made Nell mad. She told them that it was too much and just wished them death, but this time out loud. Well, better to just keep some thoughts to yourself. The mercenary dog got mad and swung the blade, trying to attack Nell. Thankfully, there was Fran. She really wanted to kill him now, but Master told her it would end soon and better to not spill the blood in guild. However, when the mercenary said some bad words about black cats, Fran realized she cannot just hold back and leave it alone. In the next moment, he lost his feet. That was the payment for trash talking. Master was surprised she managed to use such an interesting combination of spells for this attack, vibration, and blade aura. At that moment, Master realized she was such a talent. Other mercenaries were quickly beaten up just in a few seconds. Adventurers were amazed and happy that Fran kicked these bastards out of their home's walls. Nell also was glad to take revenge on them and forced them to pay 100,000 gold as a fine. Fran and Master left outside, but there was someone they didn't know about. A dwarf with the god's eye, and he knew about their secret. Trade District had a ton of interesting and useful offers for adventurers. Fran could buy anything she wanted, but before that, they needed some good armor. And there appeared a dwarf they saw for the first time. He was about to offer them to buy some, but Fran didn't trust him. Master figured out he's a grand blacksmith, Garros. Well, he seemed to be a good person, so they decided to follow him. Garros actually saw her fight in guild, so that's why he chose her. Master was amazed by the equipment's quality. The cost was fair, 150,000 gold. Fran was very happy to get such cool equipment. The only thing that was making Master unhappy was how weak he was in comparison to all these weapons. Master wanted to take a better look at it anyway, and Fran asked the blacksmith to show it to her. Garros was surprised since he was sure her weapon was especially strong and way better than his ones. Because it was a smart weapon, Fran and Master were astonished. How did this old man figure out their secret? He just laughed loudly and told them about his little secret too. His eyes were kind of special, nothing can hide its nature from them. Then Master straightly asked him why he was thinking he is a better weapon. Other weapons had better attack, yes, but there also were more other stats that could say more about weapons quality. For example, mana conduction. Better to show. The dwarf's weapon was easily destroyed when Fran struck it with her sword. Master has a rank mana conduction, 200% of conduction. It means that his attack power increases by 200 if Fran puts 100 mana in the blade. And if there would be 1,000 mana, then he would get 2,000 attack points. Master's self-esteem raised up. Fran and Master fit each other perfectly. Garros was interested if Master knew something about his creator. Sad, but it seemed that no one knew the truth. The blacksmith said that there were genius blacksmiths, the legendary ones, who could create incredibly strong weapons that could break through space and time. The grand sword Ignis was one of them, SS rank mana conduction, and there's 4 more legendary weapons. Well, it seemed Master wasn't the strongest one, but he was the unique one too. It was time to make scabbard for Master, and then he suddenly remembered he had some interesting materials for that case. Garros was amazed. He offered them to even create a way better armor for Fran. As the payment, he was glad to take all these materials. He needed something around 1 month to make the equipment for Fran and 3 days for making scabbard for Master. It was evening, and now they needed to buy some stuff for cooking. Food was the most important thing on their list. A huge man was glad to meet them in his little shop. Master appraised him. It was interesting that he had very good stats for just a simple merchant. Well, he was a former adventurer, so that's why. There was a ton of cool stuff they wanted to buy. After buying all they needed, Fran said goodbye and left the shop. It was nighttime, so it would be nice to find a place to rest. The room in the tavern was looking really amazing. Master was happy about Fran. She seemed to be in a really good mood. Master realized that he might come to this world just for Fran. Later, Master was cooking dinner for Fran. He was a really cool chef, so he knew some recipes that easily caught Fran's heart. After having dinner, Master offered Fran to think about their strategy, what they needed the most to increase. Fran immediately told him about the regeneration skill, the one that Oni has. Master had a ton of thoughts about what to do, and while he was talking, he didn't notice how Fran just fell asleep. This night was quiet as always, and no one knew what was happening nearby in the forest. Today, Fran was collecting herbs for the guild. It's an ordinary adventurer's task for her rank, G rank. Usually there weren't many difficult missions for them. Usually it was just about killing low-level goblins or doing other daily routines. It was obviously boring, just look at Fran's face. Suddenly they heard the sound of clashing blades nearby. Fran immediately rushed towards there. And there was a group of adventurers surrounded by goblins. They had no idea why there were so many goblins. Master and Fran were surprised too. This team obviously needed help. The healer told his mates to run away. He had a special spell for that case. He was about to do a kamikaze move, but thankfully Fran was faster. Well, she better not use fire spells in the forest. They choose to fight by using earth magic. Stone bullets were blowing goblins' heads easily. Then she rushed towards and began slicing enemies in parts. The adventurers had no words to say. While Fran was fighting, her level had increased to 4th. Every her strike was fatal for goblins. They couldn't do anything against her blow attacks. After defeating all the enemies, she walked up to the adventurers and used the healing spell on them. The adventurer said that she can collect all the loot from these goblins if she wants. She was the one who defeated them all in the end. The healer was worried if all this mess might be caused by the goblins' invasion. That should happen soon. When the Goblin King and Goblin Queen meet each other, all their children will be hobgoblins that are way stronger than simple goblins. So their kingdom, Alessa, might be in danger? Suddenly a goblin they didn't notice used the horn to call for backup. Fran told them to go back to the guild and tell the news. What about Fran? She was going to defeat these goblins by herself, so it's Goblin Slayer time. Fran was trying hard, but there were a lot of enemies, so she couldn't deal with them all that easily. Another level up comes. Now Fran was at level 5, but it wasn't enough. She was killing more and more goblins. Another fire spell, well, they forgot it's a bad idea. And then 8th level comes. But there were too many goblins. Master told Fran to not overload herself. The goblins were working in a team very well. It became really dangerous. Master told her it's time to retreat. However, Fran was going to stand here until the end. She decided to never run away from now on. Fran was determined to fight to become stronger. When you let yourself run away from danger, you will never become strong. Master realized he was mistaken about her. He thought she was the one he should protect, but in reality, she always had a warrior's heart. He didn't know about it. But as her master, he should help her no matter what. Master told her to concentrate on fighting. He will do everything else. Stronger, stronger, and stronger. Every kill was making her stronger than she was before. This massacre had ended in the late evening. Fran raised to level 12. At that moment, she felt that feeling of victory. Garros was astonished by Fran's look. Of course she had killed more than 100 goblins. Master apologized for the unexpected visit, but they really needed to repair their equipment. Tomorrow, Fran wanted to raid the goblin's lair. A few hours before that, Master and Fran found the goblin's lair. He told her to be careful and first go back to the city, but before that, they also needed to collect all the crystals. While Master was devouring crystals, a group of adventurers appeared right here. They knew Fran was here and came here to help her. This lair seemed to be a real dungeon, they said. It's way more dangerous than Fran might expect. They told Fran to come back since the guildmaster wanted to see her now. Donandrand asked Fran how many goblins she had killed. When she said there were around 130 goblins and 20 hobgoblins, he immediately realized it was the red flag of goblin invasion. Fran said their lair seemed to be not a simple lair, but a dungeon. The guildmaster decided to tell these news to everyone and gather the adventurers' team with Donandrang as a commander. For that case, the guildmaster raised Fran's rank to F, just because it would be a bit stupid to leave such a talented person in G rank. Garros believed Fran's story and repaired all her equipment with catalysis crystals. It's a special skill to repair items. However, the more you use it on the same item, the more crystals you need to spend on it. And just to know, one crystal's cost is around 10,000 gold. Then Fran asked about dungeons. It's a pretty simple system. If there activates the dungeon core, then the creature that was standing closest to it becomes its owner. Dungeon masters become smart enough to turn the cave into a real labyrinth with traps and to build their own army. If the dungeon is ancient, there might be some treasures. Rumors say it might be left in this world by the god of chaos. Anyway, if this dungeon was new, then there might be some interesting things inside. Master was surprised by how strong his girl became. She even got the Goblin Slayer status. Of course, she had killed more than 100 goblins. But anyway, she looked really tired and needed to have a good rest. But before sleeping, she wanted to take a bath. Of course, with Master together, he had no choice but to follow her wish. But when Nell appeared here, he was astonished. Was it a luck? Maybe. Anyway, no one was allowed to enter the bath with weapons. Sad, Fran apologized. While having dinner, Nell asked her if she was going to the expedition with other adventurers. She asked her to be careful, and by the way, why were adventurers forced to take such a dangerous and important quest? Well, it's just because the Knight's commander was a bastard that hated their guild. Nell was sad that Amanda wasn't here. Wait, Amanda, who is she? The greatest adventurer in their guild. She's a rank adventurer. Sad, but all high-rank adventurers were sent to explore the Morrow Lands because of that incident with monster activity. Master realized it happened because of him. Well, the god of chaos likes to troll people sometimes. Fran wanted to know more, and Nell told her about the gods in their world. There were 10 gods who created this world. One of them was the goddess of chaos. She was forcing people to evolve all the time by challenging them all the time. Dungeons were one of the chaos elements she created to challenge people. That was interesting, but was she a bad goddess then? Well, she wasn't, but there was another one, the god of war. However, he turned into evil and other gods killed him. However, some parts of his body were left in this world, and later all the goblins, orcs, and some other monsters were born from it. While Nell was talking, she didn't notice how Fran fell asleep. The next day, Fran came to Garros's blacksmithery. He was already waiting for them to present Master's new scabbard. It looked amazing. But these scabbard had a special way of usage, so Fran could quickly draw it at any moment. She was so thankful for such a gift. Later, all the adventurers gathered near the dungeon entrance. Donondron told everyone about today's mission: defeat the Goblin King and Goblin Queen, and after that, defeat the Dungeon Master. Suddenly, the commander's speech was interrupted by an unexpected goblin's attack. It was ambush. The adventurers already lost their morale. That was very bad. Fran rushed towards the battlefield to help others. For some reason, goblins were running away from her. That's because of her Goblin Slayer status. Very helpful. Then Master reminded Fran about that skill he got from the saber-toothed tiger boss, the levitation. She gained enough attitude, and then brought the strike down to the center of battle. It killed most of the goblins, but there were some more defending the entrance. She didn't want to stop and launched the strike wave into them. Master also had some tricks to show. The fire cannon comes out. Poor goblins. The adventurers were amazed by this girl's abilities. She showed them around 4 different types of magic in combinations. Master said it's time to enter, and Fran ran towards the entrance. So they left dirty work on the elders. That's a bit unfair, but who cares? Meanwhile, the dungeon master was waiting for them with his great dungeon defender. Master asked Ran to be careful. This mission was way more serious than their previous tasks. For an emergency case, he had a teleportation item that may save their lives. Anyway, Fran was determined to go as far as possible, and their first enemies appeared. Master told Fran to target only strong goblins with useful skills, first blood. Fran was turning all the enemies into a salad. She got some crystals with useful skills for Master. This time, her crystal collecting skill was way higher than before. There were way more goblins than they expected, so there's no jokes anymore. Master did the combination of doppelganger and fire spells, fire spears, a bunch of fire streams directed right into the goblins. There was no chance for them. It was such a powerful explosion. Doppelganger ability was actually a very cool thing. Sad that Fran was unable to use it by herself. After some time of walking through the tunnels, Fran found 2 hobgoblins. Once they saw her, they tried to run away. Seemed that they were running right to their main place. And yes, they almost found the queen and the king. The adventurers at the same time were doing well too. They were wondering how this little girl had managed to defeat so many enemies here. Donondron said she's kinda expert, but they anyway were worried for her. She was a little girl after all. Fran found the queen and the king. It was time for the main fight, but before the attack, Master wanted to kill all other goblins, just to make it easier. Some fire strikes wouldn't make it worse. They launched the fire stream into them, and after that, finished the work with the fire spears. It felt like a real battlefield, and then Fran rushed towards there to attack the main goblins. And well, okay, Master did too much, so the king and the queen died too. Fran was really sad because of that. Other goblins just ran away, and Fran couldn't satisfy her bloodlust. However, they suddenly saw a giant door in front of them. Then it means that the real dungeon master was right behind these doors. First, they didn't see anything there, but then an uncountable amount of light bugs appeared. It looked dangerous, especially because of that abyss under Fran's feet. Master appraised them. They were just ordinary bugs. It would be nice to kill them all to gain experience and crystals. So it seemed to be a bonus level they could only dream about. Fran was stopping them with telekinesis and then slicing one by one. But 30 minutes later, they realized there were still a ton of bugs. It looked like they would never end. Of course, someone was summoning them. It was the red bug, their leader. Anyway, it was time to finish with the bonus level. Explosion attack. The chain reaction killed all the enemies in one moment, and then the main enemy, the red bug, was sliced in 2 parts. At this moment, Fran was a level 17 warlock. That's a lot. They also got some new skills. Anyway, it wasn't the end of the dungeon. There was another door, and something behind these doors was so powerful that Fran immediately felt its strong aura. But anyway, Fran believed that together they would defeat everyone. But before entering the next room, Master casted some buffs on Fran. After that, they were ready for a fight. The blue doors opened, and the enemy welcomed his guests, offering to enter. Donandron tried to open the giant door, but nothing happened. They were trying to call Fran, but also nothing happened. So behind closed doors was their main enemy, the Dungeon Master. Master appraised this creature and was astonished. High-ranked demon, 30 level. His stats were just at crazy numbers. There also were extra skills and magic of darkness. Master didn't know anything about it. Anyway, this monster is a real disaster. He can eliminate the entire country just by himself. The Grand Demon was going to beat her up, but Fran didn't even think of running away. Suddenly, the Goblin Mage told the demon to stop talking and attack. Wait, what? This goblin was an actual dungeon master. He's incredibly weak, but the demon he summoned is incredibly strong. Fair enough. This goblin had a plan to conquer mankind with his strong army. However, Fran destroyed his plans. Anyway, he still had his main trump card right here, the Grand Demon. Well, the demon didn't like to have such a pitiful master, so he could act freely. Anyway, the fight is gonna start now. Fran put 500 mana into Master. The demon rushed towards her and she took the block stance. Master realized that the demon's sword was way higher mana conduction, so his real damage was even more than 1,000. That's bad. Fran rushed into attack. While they were clashing blades, Fran got used to his fighting style, and the next moment she managed to slip his sword out of hands. It was a chance to kill him, or not. Master realized she was about to make a mistake, and in the last moment saved Fran's life. The demon's sword had an ability to return back to his owner. Thankfully, Master managed to block the attack. Suddenly, the demon disappeared in a shadow, and then, it's the end. Fran's hands were chopped off. Master immediately began to move. Block. The attack was parried, and Master quickly used the instant regeneration skill. The demon was gladly surprised by this little girl's abilities. Then he disappeared again, but Master already knew from where he would attack and blocked it very well. Master was trying to figure out what this demon's ability was. It wasn't a teleportation, and the magic was used not in the air, but on the ground. So then it's the magic of shadows. When Master realized it, he already knew what to do, and told Fran to perform a strike behind herself. The demon got hit by the strike wave, but of course it wasn't enough to defeat him. He used the magic of darkness and shot the powerful ray of energy right towards Fran. They had no idea how to fight against him. Their main strategy didn't work. Master offered Fran to use the teleportation item, but Fran was determined to fight until the end. The demon liked her will to fight, but it wasn't enough to satisfy him. They were clashing blades again and again. Fran didn't feel the fatigue. On the contrary, the flow took control over her body, and she was trying again and again. The demon praised her swordsmanship skills. It was really great, and he decided to steal it right now. An invisible hand came through Fran's body. Master felt something, but what was that? Well, it was the demon's extra skill stealer. It meant that now Fran had no ability to stand against him. But was it like that in reality? To his surprise, Fran managed to block his attack, and moreover, perform a counterattack. Unbelievable! So it seemed that he couldn't steal skills if they shared skills. The goblin tried to help the demon by summoning some goblins, and the demon didn't like it at all. He was such a nasty person. The fight continued, but this time the demon was absolutely serious, and put all the power in his next attack. Thankfully, Fran survived it. Fran and Master realized it would be impossible to defeat this monster just now, and almost decided to retreat. But Fran couldn't run away because this monster will attack Alessa if she won't defeat him. She asked Master to share some strength with her. The next demon's attack forced Fran to move a lot, and another attack. He continued attacking her, but Fran couldn't dodge it all the time. Master was trying to think up something. This demon must have a weak spot. And while Fran was dodging his attacks, Master noticed the demon was trying to avoid attacking the dungeon core and the dungeon master. So there's their chance. The next Fran's attack was directed to another target now, to the goblin mage. Master was right, it worked well. If the dungeon master would die, then the demon would just disappear. And then they continued attacking him again and again. However, the demon's barrier was very hard to break through. And while they were shooting him, Master thought up a great plan. The demons saw they stopped attacking for some reason and thought it would be the end. But in reality, Fran was preparing for the final attack. She threw Master right into the target, into the dungeon master. Of course, the demon thought it was her fatal mistake, but at the last moment, Master changed his trajectory and directed right into the demon's crystal. Nothing can stop this mad blade. He put all the power in his attack, just to return all the pain this demon did to Fran. And in the end, the blade pierced the demon's crystal. The high-ranked creature couldn't believe it was for real, but it was the end. Not only for the demon, but for the brave sword too. The blade cracked into pieces after overloading himself with such a high amount of mana. Fran thought it's the end and almost buried him, but thankfully Master was still alive. All he needed was just to use instant regeneration. The goblin had no idea what happened, but anyway, all he needed to do was just to summon more monsters. It wasn't a real problem for him. Well, he better not underestimate Fran and Master Duet. But the goblin had a trump card. While he had a special bracelet on his hand, he wouldn't die. Well, he better not tell his secrets to enemies. After the goblin lost his hands, he couldn't do anything more. Fran was about to finish him, but it seemed that he already died, and the dungeon core fell asleep. It turned back into old ruins. So now, it is the end. A few minutes later, Fran's mates entered the room. When they saw Fran defeated the high-ranked demon, they had no words to say. Donandrand praised Fran for doing such a great job, but at the same time, he was unhappy with her behavior. She just ran away and made them feel worried for her, so he decided to give her a lesson of Adventurers Guild rules and etiquette right now. After that lecture, Fran almost fell asleep. Only thoughts about tasty Master's food were not letting her do that. Fran actually graded from 12 level to 25 level today. She did a really great job. Her swordsmanship skills and technique were both graded to level 10, and it means Fran gets some special abilities. She already wanted to try it out. And there also were some interesting abilities they got from that demon. Darkness magic and skill stealer, it should be interesting. Well, the cooldown of this skill lasts for 432 hours. That's fair though. The director called Fran in his cabinet again. He praised her for saving Alessa from danger, and of course she hadn't let any adventurer die in this expedition, doing everything by herself. They also got really precious materials from that high-ranked demon, but at the same time, he had some questions about the demon's crystal. Fran tried to make an excuse. She just broke it accidentally and it disappeared. Well, the director believed her words, but there was another person who didn't like her answer. He entered the room and Master immediately realized this man would be a problem for them. The Knight's commander appeared. The Knight's name was August. He was the lieutenant of Alessa Knights. Fran remembered Nell's words. He should be a really bad person then, and he had a special ability that was revealing any lie. Or better to say, this ability was allowing him to lie and to see if someone lies too. Very interesting. Well, so for another time, he tried to use it for his own bad purposes, but the guildmaster refused to put any guilt on Fran even if she was lying to him. At least she had no bad intentions, unlike this bastard. Fran noticed the guildmaster and August were quarreling, so she decided to solve their conflict by giving August a gift. Well, he wasn't glad when he saw she was offering him the goblin's horns. Of course he got offended, and his behavior made Fran even more offended. Suddenly, Master got an interesting idea: to steal his special skills, just in case of taking revenge. After August's skills were stolen, he immediately noticed the change. Fran began acting like an elegant person, and August, on the contrary, immediately lost all his charm. The knight tried to make an excuse and ran away. So, Fran's revenge was perfectly done. The guildmaster apologized for that bastard who just bought his lieutenant status. No one liked him and wished him to disappear. His father, the Graf of Alesia, was a really good person, unlike his son, August. The guildmaster warned Fran to be careful. No one knows what the lieutenant can perform against her after this incident. And of course, there was some good news. She became a D-rank adventurer. She was thankful for that. When she entered the guild hall, all the adventurers were already here waiting for her. Congratulations, Fran, you're D rank now. She also got a huge bag of money, so it was time to drink beer for everybody. Of course, Fran would pay for them, After the party, Fran quickly fell asleep. Master took care of her. Tonight, Master had a strange dream. 3 beautiful women were standing above him, and there was the sword. It was him, and he was trying to touch himself. Once he reached the hand towards the blade, he got awakened by Fran's voice. The next day, Fran was preparing to make curry. A ton of curry. They bought a lot of ingredients for that, and of course the dish was great. In the end, Fran had a lot of fun. Now I want to eat too. Let me try it out. Days went by. While they were waiting for Fran's new armor, they were doing some easy quests. They even found a really strange type of potato, so many food. They were also trying out some interesting quests, for example, catching monsters alive. And then curry again? This is a great dish. I bet you'd like it too. When Fran was going back to the city, the guard gladly greeted her. They often see each other here. He had some interesting news about the knight's lieutenant. There were rumors he went crazy and got in real trouble. He also was looking for Fran, and of course there was nothing good. The guard told her to be careful. When they were walking the street, Master noticed someone was tailing them. Fran went up the stairs to the wall to solve the problem quickly right now. There were 2 enemies. One of them quickly showed first. Obviously, it was him, August, the lieutenant. Well, Fran didn't recognize him for the first time, and for the second time too. He was looking really pitiful. But he couldn't make a mistake. He was sure it was Fran. He came here to take revenge on her, and he came here not alone. Then the second enemy appeared, and when Fran saw him, her knees began to shake in fear. The blue cat, the assassin. Fran's face changed in pure anger. Master had never seen her being like that. Fran said that all the blue cats betrayed the black ones. They were stronger, and to show their domination, they were always killing black cats and selling them in slavery. That's why Fran couldn't look at them with no anger. Master understood her feelings, but Fran couldn't be calm. She felt how fear was creeping closer to her heart, couldn't do a move. She was literally paralyzed and demoralized by emotions. The assassin didn't lose a chance to make fun of her pitiful look and humiliated her with no mercy. She tried to handle her feelings, but it was impossible to do when your worst enemy stands right towards you. Master was really mad at this bastard, and then he realized if he wouldn't help her, she would die. Master addressed Fran and reminded her she already knows what to do. She was good at it since the day they met each other, beating up bad ones and protecting weak ones. Fran remembered her fight against the Grand Demon and put herself together. Strike! But Fran blocked it easily. The assassin reminded her how many her brethren had died from his blade, and how badly he killed them all. But his words only made her more motivated to beat his ass up. The next moment the assassin lost his hand holding the blade. He couldn't understand how it could happen to him. Being defeated by a black cat was such a humiliation for the blue one. Then she chopped off his legs. But it wasn't enough for Fran. She continued turning him into a salad. Master asked if she wanted to kill the enemy by herself, and Fran replied that it was her main goal to show the true power of black cats, and if she wouldn't kill him, then it would never happen. After these words, the assassin lost his head. The cruel murderer was sent to hell forever, but they also had to deal with the lieutenant. Well, they weren't sure if they should kill him. At that moment, a blue sphere appeared here all of a sudden. It was the guildmaster's spirit. He wanted Fran to come back to the guild. It was the spirit of water. But when Fran said it was looking like a slime, the guildmaster got mad. He was a real fan of spirits. It's understandable. Well, what about the lieutenant? The Graf actually asked the guild to find his son, and fortunately, Fran did it very well. So, killing him would put the guild in a real problem. The guildmaster asked her to keep this incident a secret. Suddenly, their talk was interrupted by an unknown woman. When she saw Fran, she was really surprised. Did she just recognize her? The woman tried to pretend to be her mother, but Fran knew her mother was a black cat, so it couldn't be true. She didn't understand what this crazy woman wanted from her. At the same time, she had incredible stats. Master was shocked when he took a look at it. The guildmaster introduced her to Fran. It was Amanda, a rank adventurer and the strongest warrior in their guild. Amanda already heard about Fran from rumors. She was pretty popular though. Well, it was time to go to bed. Amanda said goodbye to Fran. That's how their first meeting was. And from that day, Fran saw Amanda a lot, everywhere, even in places where she mustn't appear. So it looked like she was stalking her. After some moment, it was obvious. She asked Nell what this mad woman wanted from her. Nell told her Amanda was a bit strange, but a very kind person who just loves kids and even has an orphanage. Anyway, she had no bad intentions on Fran. Amanda heard their talk and couldn't let them discuss herself with no permission. For some reason, she was trying to pretend to be Fran's mother, and this fact was a bit annoying for Fran. Later, Fran came to the guildmaster. He had an interesting offer to get 3 crystals from his little collection. But first he wanted her to go into the expedition to the spider lair. It was interesting, but first Fran wanted to trade with him a bit. In the end, she got 5 crystals. She's a really good trader though. Well, the guildmaster wanted her to go on this expedition just in case to prove her power. Some adventurers began thinking he was just a lowly fan. He didn't want to live with such a reputation. Suddenly, Amanda rushed into the room and told the guildmaster she was going to go on the expedition too, and the guildmaster had no choice but to let her go too. While Fran was having dinner, she asked Master about this dungeon. Master answered that there wouldn't be anything interesting because this dungeon was already cleared by people once. Well, anyway, they already got their reward. 5 crystals. It is great, isn't it? When Fran came to the right place, Amanda was already waiting for her. Fran was seeing her everywhere, even in her dreams. But well, these dreams were usually nightmares. The paladin gathered people here to give the speech. His name is Cruz Reusel, class paladin. There also were Rick the mage and Azel the warrior. They will be their instructors. The next ones were from the Dragon Growl band. Their leader was the spearman named Krat. His mates Victor, Wart, and Gennel were E-rank adventurers. And it seemed that the leader didn't like Fran from the first glance. Well, okay, there also was Furion, the elementalist. He was the leader of the Forest Eyes, E-rank band. And the last participant was Amanda. We were already familiar with her. After the introduction part, Krat walked up to Fran and, being reckless, began to talk with her. But Amanda didn't want to watch this mess and put him back to his place. Krat apologized for his behavior, but still he didn't want to leave it alone. He didn't acknowledge her power since he was sure she just bought her place in the guild. Cruz told them it was time to move. They spent all day on it. The way was long, through the forests and rivers. Krat continued being reckless even during their way, and of course he got punished for that. Being E-rank, you have literally 0 chances against A-rank. In the evening, they almost came to the spider lair. There was a place where they decided to build a camp. To not let monsters attack them at night, they put Fran on guard. They decided to change during the night, just in case to not overload one person. Later, Krat came closer to Fran and challenged her for a sparring fight. He wanted to show her where she belonged in reality. Fran couldn't leave his trash talk alone and woke up. The adventurers noticed something was going to happen, but they didn't want to stop them. On the contrary, sparring between those both would be interesting to watch. Krat activated his special ability. His mates were cheering for him. They were almost his fans, really. Master decided to put air and ground barriers around their camp just in case to detect monsters. And only this move surprised everyone. She managed to put 2 barriers at the same time. Then Fran drew her sword. It was time to fight. Krat attacked first. He had some tricks to surprise Fran. It was a special technique, the double spear attack, but Fran easily blocked it to his surprise. Then Fran got closer and he attacked her with a powerful swing, but in the end he whiffed it and she managed to perform a counterattack. When Krat looked above, he realized it's the last image he would see in his life. Amanda liked her fighting style and got a feeling she wanted to fight against her too. Fran was glad to accept her challenge. If Fran wins, then Amanda would stop stalking her. And if Amanda wins, then Fran will be forced to always address Amanda as Mom. Fair enough. Fran asked Master to not help her this time. She wanted to see what she could do by herself against such a strong enemy. When Amanda drew her weapon, Fran was surprised. It was a whip, and it should be hard to fight against. It's a rank weapon after all. Amanda attacked first. It was a simple attack with no tricks. Fran was trying to avoid it by herself. She quickly got used to her simple attacks. Remind you, she couldn't block any attack since the whip would just catch her sword in that case. The only way was to dodge it. When Krat opened his eyes and saw what was going on, he realized these two are real demons. When Fran almost got close enough to Amanda, she didn't expect to get counterattacked by the whip's handle. Couldn't perform even a single strike. Amanda decided to become a bit more serious and put some magic into her weapon. The whip attacks became more dangerous than they were. Now, even a single strike might knock Fran out, and with mana flow, Amanda had better control of her weapon. Fran realized she needed to think up something. She used the wind magic and somehow managed to connect doppelganger ability at the same time. It helped her to shorten the distance by half, but it wasn't enough. She got slightly wounded by the whip and almost lost the balance, but with her willpower she continued rushing towards Amanda. Fran almost got her, but the wind aura broke her plans. However, Fran had one more trick, the doppelganger in combination with fire magic. powerful explosion-covered view. Was Amanda defeated just now? Would be too easy to defeat such a demon. Fran passed out. Amanda realized she forced her to overload herself. That was bad. She was really sorry for being too rude with her and applied a healing aura on her. Fran had a dream. She saw her mother standing above and talking to her. When Fran opened her eyes, she saw Amanda instead. Well, maybe it was a sign. Fran was lying here for over 2 hours. Thankfully, all her wounds weren't really dangerous, so she was fully healed already. Amanda hugged her. From that day, their relationships became way stronger. In the morning, the group was ready to enter the dungeon, and the dungeon master was already waiting for them. First, they needed to scout the territory. Well, no one wanted to enter the spider lair, but their morale at the same time was great. Amanda told Fran that this place was pretty popular. Amanda was also raiding this dungeon. She remembered those days when she was such a weakling. Suddenly, spiders appeared. Cruz alerted everyone. It was time to prepare for a fight. I have arachnophobia, my friends, so this part of the anime was chasing me even in my nightmares. These adventurers were more brave than me, so they quickly finished with them all. Cruz told Fran to be careful. Despite her skills, she might get in trouble easily. No one knows what would happen next. They passed to the second floor. The enemies here were a bit stronger, as expected. Fran had a ton of questions about skills and abilities. Amanda was glad to help her. Well, okay, let's start. There are fighting techniques and their usage is simple. Just let mana flow through your weapon. For example, Krat was always doing it with his spear. Amanda and Fran were doing the same. Well, all the warriors must know how to use it, especially if you are a warlock. The group ended up at the third floor, and here they were met first, not by monsters, but by traps. They have to be more careful, poor guys. Amanda continued her lesson. Skills are a divine art of souls who were trying hard to master something. For example, this man had the skill of trap detection. And the last thing Amanda was about to tell is guess what? Right, magic. There are 4 main elements: earth, air, water, and fire, and their advanced versions. Magic of depths, storm magic, sea magic, and infernal magic. While they were talking, they reached the 4th floor, and there already were a lot of enemies waiting for them, so better be careful. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you, there also was a complex magic. It's a combination of 2 different types of magic. For example, Furion uses the magic of forest, the combination of water and earth magic, and there are more types of it: water and wind, frost, fire and water, life, wind and fire, thunder, wind and fire, storm, earth and fire, lava. Fran liked the thunder magic. She wanted it so bad. Finally, the group decided to take a break. The room they choose to stay in was constructed especially in the way to not let monsters attack them from nowhere. And bless Fran, she had a ton of carry. It's lunchtime for Fran and Amanda. It looked like they became best friends pretty quickly though. Amanda told Fran there also was a magic of light and magic of darkness. People rarely can use it, I would say. It's as rare as diamonds in Minecraft, but they are pretty popular types among monsters. And they also have side versions. Magic of poison comes from magic of darkness, and magic of illusion is from magic of light. Oh, and there also is necromancy. Amanda actually knew one necromancer. These people are really strange. Necromancers are very close to madness. After this lecture, Fran's head began to melt. Understandable. While others were talking about their plan, Fran was trying to convince Master to show her magic of thunder. She really wanted it, so Master had no choice but to let her learn it. And to not cause any suspicions, she shouldn't use it right now. I said, she shouldn't. No, Fran, stop it. At the 5th floor, the number of enemies really increased, and they were stronger than previous ones. Amanda was cheering and wishing adventurers good luck. Of course, she could defeat everyone by herself, but it wouldn't be interesting. Need to let younger ones shine. All the traps were also deactivated by our cool guy. The squad morale was as high as never. They almost got to the last floor. However, in the next room, they realized it wouldn't be that easy. Suddenly, some guys realized the antidote didn't work against these spiders' poison. Master appraised some of them and figured out these spiders had stronger poison, so that's why the antidote doesn't work. Something was going totally wrong. These spiders were too hard for F-rank adventurers. It was time to retreat. Cruz asked Fran and Amanda to help them with enemies. Those two fit each other perfectly. Victor and Wart went crazy from the poison and began to run to nowhere. And in the end, they accidentally bumped into Fran and fell down the stairs. And to their unluck, there was a trap. But this trap was special. A teleportation trap. Master was ready to stay with Fran no matter what, but unfortunately the trap was sneaky and just unarmored the adventurers. They thought they were teleported to the room nearby, but to their fear they didn't see anyone there. When Fran opened her eyes, she realized she had lost her best friend, Master. Impossible. It meant she was unable to use skills or something else. When they looked towards them, they realized they got in real trouble. A giant spider boss, who could guess? Fran didn't know what to do. She was unable to do anything without Master. The spider swung the finger and suddenly a needle trap activated from nowhere. So it was this boss's ability to summon traps so dirty. Meanwhile, the group realized that this kind of trap couldn't be created by a simple spider boss. It meant that the dungeon master had evolved into something stronger. But how could it be possible? They decided to divide by 3 groups to find their brethren. It was dangerous, but they had no choice. Amanda went alone since she was strong enough to deal with enemies by herself. Amanda took Master and went away. She tried to use the magic of sound to find Fran by her voice, but it was useless. Master already tried a lot of different variations of magic, but he had no idea what to do since nothing worked. But he was sure there should be a skill that would solve their problem. Then Master suddenly remembered a summoning skill. Should be helpful. He didn't even care that Amanda would figure out his secret. Fran was in danger right at this moment. Every second was on the timer. Master at this moment could summon different types of wolves, but there was the onyx wolf that had an ability to detect living creatures throughout the world. Very nice. That's it. Amanda noticed there suddenly appeared a summoning circle. The onyx wolf appeared. He thought the hardest part of his mission had ended, but the wolf was trying to attack him for some reason. What was going on? The sword decided to address Amanda. There was nothing to lose anyway. First, she was surprised by what happened, but anyway answered his questions. She said he overloaded the poor creature with too much mana, and besides, he must give him a name to finish the summoning process. So, there was a chance 93% to turn this wolf into a pet. Master addressed the onyx wolf with his new name, Urushi, and fortunately it worked. Urushi's mana crystal stabilized and he became Master's pet. His stats were amazing. Well, anyway, it's time to find Fran before she would die. The onyx wolf had a special ability to go through the walls, just like that high-ranked demon. Now all Master wanted was to see Fran alive. He was praying for her life. At the same time, Fran was suffering. It looked like the spider was just playing with them before killing. She realized she was as weak as before. She couldn't do anything without Master. Weak and useless, she thought. She couldn't even help her brethren. Then she saw a dream. Master was there, and he told her it's not time to give up just like that. She reminded her that strength is always in mind, not in body. It was enough to awake her from despair's embrace. She pulled out Victor and Wart and continued fighting. Even without her weapon, she was able to stay on her own feet, enduring all the pain. She must stay until death. She already had chosen her fate. Urushi was running as fast as possible, dodging all the traps on the way. Master was going to give him some pats after they finished the mission. Suddenly, they came to a dead end. But it wasn't an actual dead end, just a hidden tunnel. There were a ton of spiders, unfortunately, so going through this web wouldn't end well. But Master already knew what he should do. Fran was stalling as much as possible. In other cases, they would be dead. She rushed towards the enemy and decided to put all her strength in her attacks. The blood was spilling on the floor, but Fran kept standing. Then she decided to perform the final attack, the last hope, and to her luck at that moment, there appeared Master. He left a very heavy wound on the spider's body, and it was enough to force her to retreat. Before chasing her, Master needed to heal Fran's wounds. For another time, she realized how cool Master is and hugged him. It was all he needed from Fran. In the end, he was living for her. Then, Fran saw Amanda and her new friend. They all were happy to meet. Now, when the danger was eliminated, Amanda had some questions to Master. Fran trusted Amanda, so she didn't mind revealing their little secret. She was amazed by Master's abilities. A smart weapon, what a rare thing. She was even a bit envious, but, well, it's okay. Oh damn, they forgot about those guys. They were at 1 HP, that's bad, and thankfully they didn't hear their talk. In other case, Amanda would beat them up to cause amnesia. They left the boss room, now they needed to find their group. It seemed that something bad might happen to them. Suddenly they saw a light appearing from above. This energy was different from what they saw. Was it a new monster? The group of adventurers at the same time was trying to defend themselves from an infinite wave of spiders. They were literally in their lair's heart. It was hard to even imagine how the hell they were supposed to leave this place with their own feet. Some of them were already poisoned. The situation they ended up in was terrible. Besides, they had no potions left. Suddenly, they heard the sound of trap activation. It meant only one. Their lives would end here or not. At the last moment, Fran destroyed the stone. Fran and her friends came here at the right time. Krat was glad to know his brethren were alive. Okay, it's time to turn this place into a bloody bath. Urushi attacked first with his dark bullet rain. Fran asked Hans to give her the flamethrower and began eliminating spiders. Amanda was using the wind magic. Tornado was sharp as 1,000 blades. Poor insects. The group morale immediately rose up, so they continued fighting as hard as ever, thanks to the spirit who showed Fran the way here. Then Fran looked to the side and saw the spider boss. Now she had no way to escape. However, the spider was sneaky and covered herself with the web. The magic spirit casted morale-raising ability, and all the adventurers felt how energy was going through their bodies. They quickly blew the spider's defense, but it wasn't enough. There also were spiders. However, these spiders were helpless against Fran's elemental magic. It was the first time Fran used Thunderbolt, and it was epic. This magic doesn't kill the target, but causes paralysis. That's enough to not let the spider run away. The spider actually had some tricks and knocked them back all far away. At that moment, something clicked in Amanda's mind. She got a flashback about her children. Flamino and Kinyano were black cats. They didn't know how to fight, but they really wanted to become adventurers. She didn't want them to become soldiers, and in the end, life played a bad joke on her. They all died being unable to protect themselves. Amanda got furious and decided to not let it happen again. She casted the tornado and totally destroyed the spider. Sad, but the spider was eliminated with the crystal. Amanda ran up to Fran to hug her, but once she looked at her face, she realized she made such a fatal mistake. The adventurers group came to the last room and were amazed. There were a ton of precious crystals. Was it just a dream? Suddenly, Krat walked up to Fran and addressed her to apologize for his behavior. And well, maybe he would never get along with her. Nice haircut, bro. Amanda had a talk with Fran. She told her a story about 2 black cats who wanted to evolve. However, their dream hadn't come true. They had died in an attempt to reach the stars. Amanda was taking care of Fran just because she wished her best. Anyway, their dungeon raid was successfully done. The guildmaster later congratulated her and praised for doing a really good job. He also told her to check her class before leaving. The guildmaster was a bit sad she was leaving Alessa. Fran thanked him for everything he did to her. Unbelievable, but Fran already could choose another class. She picked a sword sage class. Nice. And finally, Garros finished working on her new armor set. It looked amazing, but Master disliked the fact that this armor was too open. Well, black cats usually like to wear lightweight armor because it fits their fighting style, so why not? And then he immediately tested it out with his weapon. Armor was working great. Fran hadn't even felt any damage from the strike. Garros was glad to help them, and by the way, his way was leading to the same place as Fran's. But Master wanted to show Fran how the sea looks. At the same time, dwarfs like to travel through the mountains more, so their ways would be a bit different. Amanda visited her friend in the cooking store. Long time no see. They had a talk about Fran. Amanda wasn't the only person who remembered those 2 cats when saw Fran for the first time. It was a really sad story. Amanda was blaming herself for their death, but nothing can be changed now. Better to focus on the reality and never make the same mistakes. When Fran was about to go, everyone came here to say goodbye to her. Don Andrand reminded her that the adventure would be dangerous, so she must be careful. He was about to remind her about 100 rules of the adventurer, but Fran refused. Well, I would do the same in her place. The Dragon Growl team also came here to see her for the last time. Master was so happy to know Fran got so many friends here. Fran told Amanda she would become even more stronger, and of course she wanted a rematch against her. She still didn't want to call Amanda her mom, but, well, at least one time she deserved it. Mamanda. When Fran said it, Amanda couldn't stop the tears, because someone else had been calling her the same, and who could guess that those 2 were Fran's real parents? Who could guess that Amanda was one of Fran's closest people and remembered her when she was a child? It was especially hard for her to let Fran go in this dangerous and rough adventure, but stopping her would be an even worse mistake, so she let her go her way. Later, Furion and the Guildmaster had a talk. They found out that one of the adventurers betrayed them and used the Evolve potion in that dungeon. Seemed like their enemy from the north was standing behind all this mess. Maybe they wanted to get control over this dungeon. The Guildmaster asked the spirit about Fran. The magic spirit told him Fran was a girl with a kind heart. She had no bad intentions. It calmed the master down. Furion added she was an incredibly talented warrior, so there was no reason to suspect her in these shady dealings. Fran was ready for her new adventure. She was sure that her friends would help her no matter what. She didn't know where this road leads to, but she was sure it would be interesting and important adventure she would never forget. Thanks for watching the video, guys. It was really hard work, so if you enjoyed it, please leave a comment. I always read it, and I like to see your activity under my videos. Write this word in comment, it's also important for me. At that point, I should say goodbye to you all. See you later.